All right, let's work on creating quizzes and deploying them in Blackboard. As mentioned in my previous video, we cannot create a link in the nav bar that takes us directly to our quizzes. So Blackboard only has the options of giving us a discussion tool link and creating content areas, but not creating a tool link to the quizzes here. So what we're going to do is we're going to create our quizzes in the test surveys and pools area and then deploy them in a content area here. So the first step is we'll create a content area by going to this little plus sign and say content area, and we'll call this test. I'm going to make this available to our students and hit submit. So you'll see that our test content area has been created here. And you'll see that a test content area has been created. I'm going to move it up here. And so we have a test content area here. So now we have two options. We can either build our tests in the test surveys and pools area and deploy it in the test area, or we can go directly to our test content area and build the tests in here. But I need to point out, whenever you build a test in here, the actual test is not residing in the test content area. It's residing in the test surveys and pools area under tests. So it'll be residing here. So you see it's giving you the options to build a test here. So let's go back to our test content area and build a link to a test. So to build a test, we're going to scroll over to assessments and go to tests. And it's going to say create a new test or add an existing test. So you see here, all the tests are actually residing in test surveys and pools area. So if anything is built over here, it's going to show up over here. But since we have no tests built over here, we're going to go ahead and create a new test. I'm going to call this test 1 test, and I'll just call it coffee quiz. I can add a description here that tells the students what to expect in the test and some instructions on how many questions they're going to be or the time limit. But for now, I'll leave these both blank. Then I'm going to hit submit. You can see we've started creating our tests, and Blackboard gives us the options of creating the following questions. Now, in respect to your time, I'm not going to go and create each and every type of questions. We're going to stick with our usual suspects. So the first one I'm going to create will be an essay question. So I'm going to select essay. And if you want, you can give a question title. I tend to leave these blanks, but you need to type in your question here in the question text box. The first question will be, how do you make a good cup of coffee? And once I'm done, I can hit submit or submit and create another. So the difference between this is if I want to create another essay question, I'm going to hit submit and create another. If I'm going to create a question of a different format, I'm going to hit submit. So let's hit submit. And our essay question has been built. And you can assign points if you just click on this point box here and give it how many points you want. So now that we created an essay question, let's go ahead and create a couple more question types. Let's see, the next one, I'm going to say multiple choice. I'm going to put in my question here. And then it gives me the options of answering numbering. I just want to leave it lowercase. Or how do you want it to be oriented? Vertical or horizontal? I'm just going to leave it as vertical. Number of answers, I'm going to give 4 options, and then I'm going to enter my option 1, 2, 3, and 4 here. So let's go ahead and do that. Option 1, option 2, option 3, and then I'm going to select the correct answer. So it's this one right here. Once I'm done and everything looks good, I'm going to hit submit. So I have my essay question and I have my multiple choice question, and you can see the green check mark is the correct answer. And if I want to change the points, let's make this 2 points since this is a multiple choice. Hit submit. And the next question I'm going to create will be, let's do a true and false. I'm going to type in my question here. And the correct answer to this question is true. I'm just going to leave this check and I'm going to hit submit. And I'll change this to 3 points here. So as you can see, I have an essay question, a multiple choice question, and a true and false question. So similarly, you can create any of the question types you want right here. So once I'm done adding all my questions, I'm going to hit OK. And then you'll see my test has been created, and it's actually in the test surveys and pools area. So if I go to my test area, you'll see that the test is not over here, even though we created from here, but whatever we created is residing in the test surveys and pools area. Right here, that's where the test is. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a link to that test in the test content area. So I'm going to go to assessments, test, check week 1 test coffee quiz and hit submit. And if I want, I can add a description to the link over here. But if you've added the instructions and descriptions in the quiz, there's no need to add anything here. If you want, you could, but I'm going to leave this blank. And then I'm going to select some of the test options. I want to open this test in a new window. I'm going to say yes. Make test available to students. I'm going to say yes. Add a new announcement for this test. You can say yes, but I'm going to leave this no. Multiple attempts. Yeah, let's give them some multiple attempts. Unlimited attempts. I'm going to say force completion. Timer, I'll say 30 minutes. Auto submit. I'll like to leave this on. You have the option of putting a display after and until date. And if you want, you can put a due date here. I'm just going to leave this blank. I'll include this test in the grade center. And then you have the options of displaying feedbacks to your students. I'm just going to stick with the default. In the presentation, I'm going to leave this display all the questions at once. I'm going to prohibit backtracking and randomize my question. Once I've selected all the options that I want, I'm going to hit submit. And you'll see that our test has now officially been deployed in the test content area. And now that it has been officially deployed, this test will show up in the Grade Center. Right here. Now, if you decide to create tests or quizzes directly in the tests area right here, it's not going to show up in the Grade Center. For it to show up in the Grade Center, you have to deploy it in one of these content areas. So you'll see here that this test is deployed in the test content area. So once your test is deployed, you're all set to go. And that is how you create a test in your Blackboard course.